Okay, these are the notes for 11.6. For the start, what I would like you to do is to work through these top 4 problems here, just using the knowledge you already have. So work through these, simplify as far as you can, and then we're going to use that knowledge to go down and do the bottom of this. So push pause and please answer the top 4 questions. All right, when I come to the answers, you'll see, you should have the answers that are up here. So we're going to look at these and talk about in reducing what we do. If I have x plus y and I have y plus x, the commutative property says I can rewrite that as x plus y, that these are the same thing. Just like up here, 3 plus 5 and 5 plus 3 were the same thing, commutative property. So if I reverse that, now I have 2 of the same thing. Anything divided by itself equals 1. In this example, it's very similar to this example over here. X minus y over x minus y, they are the same, so anything divided by itself is 1. This one looks just like this top right one. Again, they look exactly the same, so anything divided by itself is 1. Now in this one where I have the star, there's your special case, and that is similar to this one right here. In the special case, x minus y, y minus x, I cannot, subtraction isn't commutative. You can see that here. If I switch the spots, I don't get the same thing. So if you factor out a negative 1, okay, and the reason this works is look at if I distribute the negative 1. If I distribute a negative 1, then the x becomes negative, the y becomes positive. So if you factor out a negative 1, now you have 2 things that match. So when you have 2 expressions that are being subtracted, one is backwards of the other. When you are simplifying them, they will divide to be negative 1. All right, so in this example, you're going to look through. These are already factored, so you can look through and cancel what you can. Over here, you're going to need to factor the numerator and the denominator first, and then look to do your division and canceling. So please give that a try, and then come back and check your answers. Okay, in the first one, the x plus 2 canceled with this x plus 2. X plus 2 divided by x plus 2 is 1. X minus 3 and x plus 3, those are not similar, so I cannot divide those. Over here, I have x minus 4, and I had 4 minus x. Well, if I factor the negative 1 out of there, I'll have x minus 4. Now these can cancel. So I'm left with x minus 3 and negative 1 times x plus 3. Now, please understand there are several ways to write this answer. You could have had the negative 1 on the top instead of the bottom. That would be okay because we could cancel this. We could have factored negative 1 out of here. You could have distributed the negative 1. You can also write a minus right here in front of the entire expression, and that means the same thing. So there are several ways to express this that are still right. In this one, you'll see that I factored the numerator and the denominator. Please notice that because I needed a negative x squared, the x has the positive and the negative in front. So look at the location of the 2 and the x here. These 2 are that special case. They cancel to be a negative 1. So I brought that down, and what was left? In blue, I did the exact same problem, just did it a little bit of a different way. And I started by factoring a negative 1 out of the numerator. And then from there, I factored the x squared minus 4. I canceled. I still got the same answer. But some of you will be able to work with this, and some of you may find that factoring out the negative 1 first is a little easier. All right, now we're going to kind of combine all the things we've been going over. So you're going to work on these. Remember your order of operations. Work on these, and then come back for an explanation. Okay, so in the red, what I had to do first was division comes before subtraction. So I multiplied by the reciprocal. I canceled the 10 and the 5. That gave me 2 over 1. And I canceled the x's. The 8/3 comes from 4 times 2, which is 8. 1 times 3 is 3. In this fraction over here, I said, oh, well, look, they have a common factor. I can simplify that. So 2x over 3x became 2/3. Minus the 8/3 I had before, and then that comes down to negative 2. Now, there are many different ways to do this problem. Some of you may have chosen to multiply across the top and the bottom to begin with, get common denominators. There are actually many roads to get to the answer. We should all have an answer of -2. All right, in this one, x plus 7, x minus 7, there's not anything I can do to make those common, so I'm going to multiply one by the other. You can see here, there's the common denominator. They both had an x minus 7, x plus 7 denominator. On the top, I have 2 times x minus 7 minus 1 times x plus 7. At this step, I just distributed the 2 and the -1. I wrote don't cancel. It's never common denominator cancel. No, 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 no. Anytime you get a common denominator, your very next step is to simplify the numerator. Canceling and addition and subtraction should not happen until the very last part of the problem. So I distributed. At this step, I combine the like terms. I don't have any common factors, so this is as far as I can go. Here are your next ones. Again, I would like you to try these on your own and then come back to check the answers. Okay, when you look here, I have factored the numerator, I factored the denominator, I did that here and here. I factored a -1 out here so that it would cancel. And you can see everything I have left here. And again, if I go too fast, just push pause and look through my work and ask your teacher a question. Over here, the very first thing I did in red was I factored out this denominator. Now that I have the denominator factored, I looked at this compared to the other denominator. I said, okay, they both have an x plus 5, but this one has an x minus 3. So I'm going to multiply this fraction by x minus 3 over x minus 3, so they'll have a common denominator. So my new numerator is 3x minus 1 minus 2 times x minus 3, all over that common denominator. I distributed the -2. That's where this came from. I combined like terms. That's where this came from. And then I said, okay, now I have a common factor. I cancel those, and there's my answer. All right, one more set for you to try on your own. So again, try these, and then come back and check your answer. All right, this one I typed it out for you here. In the red right here, I have 25 minus p squared factored. Then what I did for this is I pulled out the -1. I just rewrote it with the -1. Then I can cancel the 12 and the 6, divide them both by the common factor of 6, I should say. The p minus 5s will cancel. So on the top, I'm left with -1, 5 plus p, and in my denominator, I'm left with a 2. Over here, a lot of different ways again to get this answer. What I chose to do is to factor a -1 out of this one. And I said, okay, well, this is a -1 times x minus 3. This has x minus 3. I'll multiply top and bottom by a -1. That's what took me to this step. Now I have a common denominator. -7 plus 4 is -3. And then I said, oh, you know what? I can cancel these two. And that's where I got the 3 over x minus 3. So again, push pause if I've gone through too quickly. And again, just because the method I used, you may, as long as you got the same answer, you're probably in good shape too. There are different ways to get these answers. But it is important we have the same answer. If you have questions, let us know.